All righty. Bilal Coulibaly is a Wizard after a draft night swap with the Pacers. Locked On's NBA draft coverage is brought to you by Birddogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA, and they'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. You won't want to take your Birddogs off. We can promise you that. Now let's bring in our host of Locked On Wizards, Brandon Scott. Brandon, you mentioned what an intriguing pick this was, Bilal. Tell us what the Wizards are getting, why you're excited about this pick for Washington.
Well, they're getting an athletic guy who he's got a 7'2" wingspan. He can shoot from three, so he's a true 3-and-D wing. Very athletic. He can defend. And really, the scouts are comparing him to OG Anunoby, which is not a bad comparison. So he really fits what the Wizards are trying to do: improve three-point shooting, improve defense, and he can fit right next to Deni Avdija.
Now, aside from Bilal, you've had a very busy day. Washington is really trying to rebuild, restructure. What has your day looked like? What is Washington trying to do with this team, and kind of how does this fit in with everything else that is going on inside the organization?
Well, they're in a full rebuild. So what they're trying to do is trying to get assets for their stars, which they did. 2 out of the 3, looking at Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis, they got some assets back. Of course, Kyle Kuzma is going to walk, which is a free agent, but they are in they're in a rebuild right now. So they're looking for assets, and they're looking for young guys who they can develop. Deni Avdija, who's on contract year, he can still develop. Bilal, he fits right into the mode where he's a young guy who's very intriguing. I mean, he can score, he can defend, he's athletic. So with the proper development and with the front office, I believe they have the tools to do that. With proper development, the sky's the limit. I think that he can be an above average starter for the Washington Wizards going forward.
I like how you keep bringing up the word intrigue. And one thing that's really interesting about Bilal is that he was a teammate of Victor Wembanyama, who has had more hype surrounding him than any player I certainly can ever remember. What kind of advantage does that have? Just playing with someone with such an elite persona, if you will, and then Bilal going a much higher maybe than some folks anticipated. There's got to be something going on in France for these two. So what do you anticipate with what kind of competition these two have had against and with each other?
Well, when it comes to foreign leagues, it varies. Some are better on defense, some are more scoring leagues. The league that they play in is a very competitive league, which is a very defensive league. So they're going against pros. They're going against, and they don't make it easy to score in that league. So that's what, so when I see a guy who can defend at this level, and, especially in a league where defense is a priority, I love it. Because, again, the two biggest issues that we had last year for the Washington Wizards was three-point shooting was lagging and defense. So he fits the mold. So, and especially with Wes Unseld being a defensive-minded coach, he fits the mold. And I really love this pick. So.
Tell us what else Washington needs to do. We talked about the offseason. What else are we looking for? As you mentioned, it was a busy day. It can only get busier. So what else do you want to see from the Wizards?
I would like to see another point guard. We do have kind of an over-influx of point guards right now, especially acquiring, and depending on where they play Jordan Poole, he can play point. So I think they need to consolidate, kind of thin out the herd when it comes to point guard on this team, because right now, like I said, it's a rebuild. So you want to give minutes to younger guys. And, Monte Morris is on expiring, so chances are he can't be flipped. So I think that's what they're trying to do, is kind of consolidate a lot of these expiring contracts. So with the second round, I would love to see a point guard. I would like to see a center. I think we need to get add some center depth and maybe another forward. Maybe it'll be who can play the 3 or the 4. I think that should be the priority right now in the second round for the Washington Wizards.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, we appreciate your insight. And for more on the Wizards, make sure you are subscribed to the Locked On Wizards podcast, wherever you get your podcast. That is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Brandon, appreciate you. Thanks for the time.
Appreciate you.